How would you like to learn how to heal any illness using the subconscious and using the power of your mind? Hey there, it's Diane Forster, and welcome to I Have Today, the show that inspires, educates, and empowers you through life's transitions. And each week on this show, I bring on the coolest, most amazing experts, authors, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and truly life changers who've gone through their own reinventions in life and have come out on the other side successful. And they come on this show to share their stories with us. And today, I am very excited about my new friend and guest, Aaron Gendel. Hey, Aaron, how are you?
Hey, Diane. Hey, thanks so much for having me on the show.
Well, I'm so excited. And you guys out there listening and watching, you're going to want to stick around for this show. Stay till the end because Aaron's story is amazing, what he's done and how he's used the pain that he's experienced in his life to really empower him. And now he's using it to serve others. So he's taken his pain and it created his purpose. And the way he did it and what he's doing now is really having a profound effect on the world, which you know at I Have Today we absolutely love. And so we're going to share some information about him, his story, how he did it, and then we're going to get into 3 tips on how you can really use the mind to heal your body. And then Aaron and I are both going to offer you a very powerful gift at the end. So please stick around all the way to the end. All right. So the theme for today's show, again, is healing illness with the subconscious. So the subconscious, as we know, represents 90 to 95% of what's going on. It's really the driver in your life that's running your life. We're really only 5 to 10% consciously aware of what's going on. So there's a whole lot of power and programming that's going on there. But once you understand this and you use this to its full capacity and you really take control of that, magic can really start to happen in your life. So we want to focus on that. And then the intention statement for this week is I have today to heal my body with my mind. So write that down, anchor it in, put it on Post-it notes, set alarms for it, use it as your screensaver. I have today to heal my body with my mind. All right. So Aaron, I'm going to share with the audience a little bit about you and who you are before we let you share your story with us. So Aaron Gendel is a best-selling author of Conquest, 10 Simple Steps to Conquer Life and Leave a Lasting Legacy. He founded Write a Book University, where he helps others tell their story and leave their legacy by writing a book. He also hosts the Daily Authors podcast, where he interviews brilliant new self-help authors daily, providing a platform for authors to share their stories and help others. He's had a long career in technology and leadership, rising to the corporate executive ranks. He's overcome chronic disease naturally without medication, and even went on to finish the super difficult Ultra Beast Spartan race. Woohoo! He lives in beautiful Emerald Coast of California with his wife and 4 children. Aaron, wow, so happy to have you here. Okay.
Hey, thank you so much.
So what I would like you to share with the audience, what we want to know is your story and talk about your chronic illness, what happened for you, and what was the transformation, led to the transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a big part of what I do now and the reason I do it, as you mentioned. And what happened was a little over 5 years ago, I was experiencing a lot of stress. I was moving actually from California to Iowa, where my wife lives, family lives. And we were trying to get closer to family. My second child was about to be born. And we decided to just get closer to family. We actually had a fitness business at the time, decided to sell the business, move cross country. And then a lot of things kind of were up in the air where we're trying to figure out where we're going to live. So we actually decided to try to build a custom home. I was transitioning with jobs, so I decided to take on a new position. And as I mentioned, I was starting, this transition from owning a business and just all this stuff happening that led to quite a bit of stress. And I remember at the time, about a month or 2 before I was diagnosed, or started actually having my first symptoms, I remember telling myself, hey, I know I'm feeling all this stress. And, internally I was like, hey, I hope I don't give myself a stomach problem of some kind. It was just the wildest thing. And it so happens a month or two later, after having some of those thoughts, I started experiencing some symptoms after a run one day. And it took about a month before I actually went to the doctor, because I was like, maybe this thing will go away, and it didn't. And I went to the doctors. They just kind of gave me some preliminary, they had told me that I had an infection somewhere, and they couldn't tell me much. So the symptoms I was experiencing, though, is I'm very much a go figure it out kind of person. And so with, Google and all the blogs and information we have nowadays, I started to just self-diagnose what was going on. And it led me to the conclusion I had an irritable bowel disease of some kind,
Right.
which I didn't really want to believe, but I did end up getting diagnosed with that after some other testing. But I wasn't waiting, right? I wasn't waiting to even hear that. I actually started taking some steps and found a doctor by the name of Dr. Mark Hyman. He's pretty popular. Others, I'm sure, who are listening might have heard of him. And he had a very simple process, a detox process that I went through, and also a process to eat and be healthy after that. And in combination with some other forms, I did a bunch of juicing. I changed the way I was eating, and then also just how I was managing my stress, which was really, I think, a big key. As we talk about the theme here, I think that the mindset shift that had to take place along the journey to just believing that it was even possible to do, and then also just taking the steps to relieve that stress in my life, or think different thoughts, essentially, instead of some of the limiting thoughts I was thinking, to overcome disease. And within 3 months of starting the plan that I had put in place, I was actually totally symptom free, and went into the doctor's office that very first visit after being diagnosed. And I told him that, and he couldn't believe it. And he said, whatever you're doing, keep it up. And now it's been 5 years since, and been symptom free pretty much ever since.
That's such a powerful story. And I really hope that the audience out there, you're getting the magnitude of this. Like, you stepped into action and empowered yourself right away and said, what can I do to make this change, right? So powerful. Yeah. And see how fast you can heal yourself. People think, and I love this, Aaron, because you know what? I had an amazing doctor who told me I was never going to be able to have children, and so doctors are amazing. They're so talented, but they're basing everything on what their past experience has been, what they know up until that, based on research, based on statistics, right? They have no idea and understanding of the true willpower. So I love that your doctor saw that, couldn't believe it, and said, keep doing what you're doing. So you took control and empowered yourself. That is great. So what was the most challenging thing that you experienced?
I think the most challenging part of it was just actually diving deeper into research, and you just hear kind of all the horror stories. Like, for people who don't know about Crohn's, is what I was diagnosed with. I mean, it can be very debilitating. At my worst, I was waking up feeling like I had the flu every single day. I couldn't, I just couldn't function. And I had, like I said, my second child about to be born. I had a family I had to take care of, and it really scared me to think, hey, I might not be able to. And I knew the drugs that were being prescribed they could be very harmful. They were immune suppressants. So if you actually do get sick with something else, some kind of other infection, it could be very, very, just going to end up in a bad place. So I think just believing that it was possible to do without medication was, without, ignoring what other people were saying and seeing online, and finding those little nuggets of gold that were out there for people that actually, the very, very small percentage of people that actually took different steps than the prescribed medicine out there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's so true to be able to have the strength to stay positive, stay on track when you're in the midst of all that stress and chaos and life, I say this to my clients all the time when I'm onboarding somebody, it's easy when you're in the flow to be making these changes, but what happens when life throws you those curveballs? Are you going to be able to stay committed to what it is you want? Because that's where the strength, that's where the rubber meets the road, right? So
Absolutely.
you were able to do that. Okay, so now here we are 5 years later, and tell the audience how you're using this experience to be really living your purpose.
All right. So yeah, the process grew organically, and it really became a thing of wanting to help my family initially, where uh, Crohn's, they might say, is actually something that can be genetic. And as I started thinking about my kids and my family later on, I was like, I couldn't not record and document the process that I undertook, and not only the steps that I took to change my diet and all the other things I did physically, but the mindset shifts that took place. The fear that I had to overcome, the belief that I had to have, the passion that I had to commit and stay committed to see it through, because I didn't get results right away. So all that stuff I really just wanted to document for my family, for my kids, that if they were ever to overcome to have this happen to them or anything similar, just to understand what had happened to me and how I got through it. And in the process, I said, hey, I might as well write a book about it.
Mm.
And I might as well share that book with as many people as I can, to help as many people as I can. And so it led me down that journey to just really start to consider my legacy and what I was leaving behind. And I came across a quote in my research while I was writing, and it's by Ben Franklin. He says, if you would not be forgotten as soon as you're dead and rotten, then either write something worth reading or do something worth writing about. And that quote's just really hung on and stuck with me. And I'd like to combine the two. I try to do big things and also write books, and just really be as impactful as I can while I'm here for everybody. And wanting then created a desire to help me to help others leave their legacy, because I know I'm only one person, and I know there's so many stories, and I interview authors every single day, like you mentioned, and it's just, my mission is really to help them get their books out there and share their stories, and kind of get over the fear that believing they aren't an author or they're not a writer, all these myths that I believe that, and fears that come into people's minds when they think about writing a book. And so that's how it became my purpose and what I do now.
I love that story. And you're helping so many people share their story too, and overcome their fears, believe they can do it. It's, you can't see the end destination. You can only trust and believe that it's there. That takes a lot of strength for people, because we're so many of us are programmed to think, I can't do this. It's just limited.
Yeah.
I can't do this. I can't get there. And what if? And the what if is, what if something negative? But what if you turn it, what if this is possible? What if this is better than I even imagine it could be? And all those subtle shifts really empower people. And when they see and hear other people's stories, they say, if he can do it, I can do it too. So
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, I want to ask you a question I ask all my guests. How do you live the I Have Today way, which is intentionally with passion and purpose?
Yeah, so there's probably a couple ways, but one that really came to mind, and something I do every single day, because I drive my kids to school, and trying to just instill in these things that I've learned kind of later in life that I'm hoping will help them as they're young. My kids are 1 to 7 years old, but as I drive them to school, I start to ask them particular questions. We do some positive affirmations, but at the end, before I drop them off, I always ask them, hey, what are you grateful for today? At least one thing, and I think it's just a great reminder for myself, and as well, because I'm right there, doing it with them. But I think a lot of times it's so great to go for big things, and I'm all about like believing that big things are possible and just going for that thing that you're really passionate about. But I also believe that a lot of what we're searching for is just a feeling. And if we can just be grateful today and really say, hey, we've got so many amazing things. And my kids always point out, like they say a lot of these little simple things like candy, or, the toys at the toy store or whatever it might be, and then they also mention family, and it's just makes me remember that a lot of the things that we have in life, they're so good and we already have them. And if we can just remember that on a daily basis, it'll just create that sense of joy and happiness throughout our day.
Well said. Well said. I agree. Totally. When you appreciate what you have and you're grateful for what you have, nothing else outside has to change. The circumstances, the situation, living in that gratitude is, and being present with it is so important. So, and you're living it that way. All right. Before we get to your final piece of advice, what I want to do with the audience is I want us together to really give the audience 3 tips on how you can really start to practice using your mind to heal your body, and what that might look like for you, ways you can do this starting today. It doesn't cost you any money. It just takes this commitment and determination to know that you can do it. And here's 3 ways. And I want to say the first way, this was my belief, and this is what worked for me, is really starting to have a meditation practice. And whether that's sitting down on the couch or yoga pillow, a meditation pillow, or a park bench, or in the car driving your kids to school, walking meditation in the shower, whatever that is, to really go to a state where you can really quiet your mind and allow your mind to stop that programming, that stressful programming that it's running on, which is manifesting into the diseases. That is literally the process of what's happening, is the stress is settling in certain parts of your body. And it's interesting, you had Crohn's disease, because I had diverticulitis a lot, and I had part of my colon removed. That happens to be the part of the body where it settles in me, but I know a lot of people who have heart conditions and Hashimoto's and thyroid issues, like different areas of the body where it might settle. But yeah, meditation is the best gift that you can give yourself to start quieting that mind, stopping the stress, and allowing your central nervous system to calm down too. What do you think about that, Aaron? Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And my wife actually got me into this more. She's actually started much earlier in the self-development journey, and she's like, "Hey, Aaron, try this." And I'm trying to be that encourager for her now too. But yeah, she's definitely helped me to do that. And what I actually do now every day, I pretty much work out every single day, and I sit in the sauna and I put the earphones on and I do that 10 minutes of meditation while I'm in the sauna, and that just kind of releases that any poisons in your body at the same time as help you with your mindset.
Good. That's great. Okay. Way number 2 is to have gratitude, practice gratitude, whether you journal about it or you just do the list in your head. And like Aaron, like how you said, you're in the car with your kids and you're really living in gratitude for that moment, witnessing them so appreciative of all the little things in life, and gratitude is so powerful because appreciation appreciates. Gratitude manifests into more things to be grateful for. So if you have a condition, one or several conditions, don't focus on the condition. Focus on all the other things that you have to be grateful for. Focus on your eyes and your ears and your ability to walk, your hands, your feet, all the other healthy things that you have in your physical body and in your health that will allow the illnesses to start to dissipate. And gratitude's so powerful, right?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, with gratitude, yeah, like I mentioned before, it's so helpful for me to just start the day in the right place.
Yeah, I love it. And then the last and certainly not least is to visualize your healthy self. So don't focus on the illness and what, have the worry and the projection out of, what if this continues to go bad, or what if something else happens, or what if this, spawns into something else. You've got to visualize your healthy self. I had a problem with an eardrum this was several years ago. And like you, I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me I was going to need to be on steroids. I was going to have to have tubes, like all these things. And I just flat out refused to do any of that. And I sat in my meditation every single day. And what I visualized was the eardrum tight, tone, healthy, young, perfect. And I would visualize that, and I would just say aloud and start affirming, you know, why do I hear so well? Why are my ears so healthy? You know, but I sat and actually could see it. So yeah, I was feeling it too, but I could see it in my mind, the visualization, you know, visualizing yourself doing the Spartan race and finishing it, you know, those types of things. Visualize your healthy self. You are going to attract it to yourself. It's really powerful, right? Did you do any visualization?
Well, yeah, I mean, as you said that, I was in the opposite way. I guess I was saying before, you can visualize what bad things might happen to you as well. And what happened to me, I think, is a great example of that. And as I started to focus on the possibilities and believing that it was possible, I believe that absolutely helped me to overcome the illness.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Well, do you have one final tip for the audience before we offer them your free gift?
Yeah, and it's something I try to remind myself of every single day, I think, is don't let fear stop you from doing whatever it is that you want in life. I feel like with all the people that I interview every single day, and I'm sure you as well, Dan, I think the thing that pops up a lot is fear, and whether that's writing a book or starting a business or whatever it might be. And I like to use the analogy of like jumping out of a plane, which I've done before, skydiving, and all up to that point you're about to jump out, actually, and I was scared to death. And then when I jumped out, it was like, hey, there was some freedom there, and I actually wasn't scared anymore. And I kind of equate a lot of the fears we have in our life to that, as well as if you take that step, you take that leap, your fear is going to slowly start to go away, and you're going to be able to reach your destination.
I love that. Beautifully said. Well, thank you so much. So how can people find out about you and get your free gift?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm at dailyauthors.com, and that's where I do all my podcasting. Also at writeabook.university.com/free, and you can get a free 4-lesson video course that will help you on your journey to write your book and share your story.
That's great. Well, we will have, that's dailyauthors.com and writeabookuniversity.com. We'll have links to those in the description box area. So thanks so much for being here, Aaron. I really appreciate it. And then for the audience, what I want to offer you is another free gift too. You know, I really am a master at language. That was the piece that I discovered in my law of attraction journey and process that was missing. So what I have for you is 3 tips to get everything you want that you can find at dianeforster.com/3 and the word tips, 3 tips, dianeforster.com/3 tips. And that's going to help you with your language. So to stop those, you know, negative thoughts from coming out of your mouth, those, you know, negative expressions that you might not even catch yourself saying, and replace them with more empowering phrases and words that are going to allow you to literally start attracting anything and everything that you want into your life, including amazing health. So, all right, well, that's it for this week's episode of I Have Today. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe and hit the bell so you're alerted of new episodes. You can also find the podcast at I Have Today with Diane Forster on all streaming platforms out there, and then follow us on social media at Diane Forster Official. It's been our privilege to be here. Thanks, Aaron, and we'll see you next time at I Have Today. Take care. Bye-bye.